Welcome to everyone from around Australia and around the world. Thank you for joining today's session with the ANU College of Engineering and Computer Science. This is a really significant event for the College of Engineering because this year marks 30 years of the ANU engineering degree. And we have several graduates from the ANU engineering program to talk to you today. And this is the first event from a series of events that will be taking place in October to mark the occasion of 30 years of ANU engineering. So just to begin with, we're recording this webinar so you can watch it later as well if you want. Your microphone's been automatically muted and the chat function has been disabled. The way it works is that there's a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. So if you'd like to ask a question, you can click that Q&A button and you can ask a question. And we do encourage questions. This session is for you, so we want to answer your questions. So just to introduce myself, I'm Kylie Catchpole. I'm Professor of Engineering at ANU and also the convener of the Bachelor of Engineering program. I also teach the first year Discovering Engineering course, so if you come to ANU, you'll meet me in first year. Now, I originally did a physics degree actually at ANU, but I ended up hanging around with the engineers all the time, which should have told me something. And after that, I was enjoying that so much that I came back and did a PhD in engineering at ANU in solar energy. And so that's my research area at the moment. So I'd just like to now ask each of our panelists to introduce themselves and tell us a bit about themselves, and then we'll have a discussion about their career paths to date. So Don, can you please go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Don McCallum. I enrolled in engineering nearly 30 years ago. I think I was part of the third year of students that ever went through. So it seems amazing that the ANU degree has grown into the fantastic thing it is way back from then. I was a Canberra local boy. I basically left Canberra after ANU, travelled the world for 25 years, and I've only recently come back. So I've done quite a few wild and wonderful and interesting engineering relating things, which I'll talk about later.
Great, thank you, Don. And Tamara, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Tamara Perry. I graduated from ANU about 10 years ago now. So I think I was started 2005 and graduated in 2010. And since then I have worked at Thales. It's a defence contractor in Australia for the last 10 years, and have moved through their graduate program and am now a project manager for the Sonar upgrade project for the Collins class submarines.
Thanks, Tamara. And Ed.
Ed graduated about 2 years ago in 2017, or a bit more than 2 years now, and throughout uni was involved in a handful of different student organisations and so on, and am currently working as a systems engineer at BAE Systems Australia, which is a defence aerospace company.
Thanks, Ed. And Briana.
Hey, I'm Bri. I'm a local Canberran and set to graduate hopefully at the end of this year. I've been involved with a bunch of things around uni, namely Engineers Without Borders, and through a bunch of other societies as well. And currently working for Engineering for Change, which is a subsection of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, as a research fellow.
Okay, great. Thanks very much, Bri. Okay, so we'll start with some general questions about engineering and your career path to date. So can I ask all of the panel, what led you to choose engineering at ANU, and what was it like to do an engineering degree when you were at ANU? So, Don. Yeah. Sure.
Sorry, me. Oh, well, okay, thanks, Carly. Well, 30 years ago, I was part of a cohort. We were the first in our generation. It was my sister's a few years older than me. We were the first people in our whole entire extended families to ever go to university. It was fantastic. I say we were local to Canberra. This was the local degree. It was just starting up. So we're just really happy that this fantastic, it was ambitious back then. We knew it was ambitious, and we're happy to see that 30 years later it's grown into such the fantastic degree that it is.
Thank you, Don. What about you, Tamara?
For me, it was a tough decision of what I wanted to do. I ended up choosing engineering because my dad told me I should do engineering. It turns out I loved it, so it was a great choice. Because I actually grew up in Victoria, I ended up choosing ANU mainly because I didn't have to choose a specific discipline of engineering right from the outset. I really liked that it was just a general systems engineering kind of focus, although I didn't really know what systems engineering was at the time. I'm grateful for it now. But I liked that I didn't have to choose if I was going to be mechanical or electrical or any of the other options that there are now at ANU. I think it's changed a bit since I was there. But that was one of the main reasons that I chose ANU. In the end, my family actually moved to Canberra at the same time as I started university, so it worked out quite well for me. So I didn't end up living on campus, but I think overall it was a good decision on my part.
Yeah, thanks, Tamara. And we do think that's one of the strengths of the ANU program, that you have this common core of courses over the first 2 years. There's the opportunity to specialise later, but you do learn a bit about a range of different areas of engineering, and that gives you a lot of possibilities for later. And what about you, Ed?
I think for me, everyone around me knew that I was going to do some form of engineering from when I was about 3 or 4 years old. And it was mostly because of my massive collection of dismantled pens that I had taken apart and tried to put together. And the other trigger also was I spent a lot of time around airports and pilots and so on. So I knew I wanted to be, if not a plane, someone that works on planes from a very young age. And I actually am not from Canberra. Where I'm from is depending on the day. So I've moved around quite a bit through my early years, but I moved from Perth for the ANU degree. They had a pretty unique R&D degree, and I thought it was an interesting opportunity. So moved across to it and sort of followed through the passion of doing things that fly in the sky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you see that we have a range of types of people coming in to do to engineering. I guess some of them knew they were going to be engineers from more or less when they could walk, and others discover as they go along. So definitely we have the range. And what about you, Briana?
Yeah, I chose engineering specifically just because I really enjoyed all the sciences, but liked the problem solving kind of aspect of it. So yeah, when one of my teachers in college was like, just apply for engineering, it'll be fun. So I was like, okay, yeah, for sure. And then I had a particular interest in biology because I really enjoyed that as a science. And ANU was one of the, I think they're still one of the few unis in Australia that offers biomedical as a major. So, and also I'm a Canberra local. So yeah, it was really good to just be able to have that option there to come to it. And yeah, it's been really good so far. So yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. We have our first question here, which is kind of related to what's in the degree at the moment, so I'll answer this one. And the question is, I would like to know if you give mechatronics or automotive engineering with hands-on experience in building vehicles for students. So the answer to this is there's a mechatronics major in the program, and there's also opportunities for students to do hands-on things, for example, with the Sol Invictus solar car. So this is actually a student-led project where students are working on improving the solar car each year, and certainly the mechanical and control parts of that are very important. There's many different aspects of that are important. So yeah, there's opportunities to get involved with both the theoretical and hands-on side of things throughout the degree program. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question I've got here, which is, what did you learn in your degree that has helped you in your career?
Thanks, Carly. I really found the interdisciplinary nature of the ANU systems engineering has been fantastic when I've compared myself to other engineers. It's enabled me to work in mining after graduating Me and a bunch of guys jumped in an old Falcon and went over to the mines in Western Australia and worked there straight after uni. Went on to high-tech manufacturing. I was working in 3D printing in Cambridge in England, and some of the very high-tech place around there. I've worked on medical projects. I've done research and now management and project management. So I think that's really been fantastic. That interdisciplinary nature of ANU's allowed me to do all sorts of different things and not be afraid when different challenges come up. Engineering, I found, is very rarely pigeonholed into one, like it was maybe 40, 50 years ago. If you did civil, you did civil. If you did electrical, you did electrical. I think engineering is really blurred and it crosses disciplines. And ANU was absolutely fantastic in preparing me for that.
Yeah, thank you, Don. And yes, we do absolutely think that's a strength of the program, and the examples you've given there shows you just how broad the possible pathways can be, even for one person. Yeah. Tamara, what about you?
I think similar to that, I think it's also the focus on the systems engineering lifecycle that not a lot of degrees, like other undergraduate degrees at least, focus on. I found that really useful as I moved into the systems engineering manager role for an in-service support contract, because I was managing a team of electrical engineers, electronics engineers, and my background is mechanical. So I have a mechanical major. As well as manufacturing. I don't think that's a major anymore at ANU. And also a chemistry degree as a Bachelor of Science as a double degree. But I found that understanding the systems engineering lifecycle and the approach to systems engineering design, development, qualification and into production really provided a good basis for me to understand what it was that the team was working on and how we can support it when it's in service, and how we can do those redesign activities. It was all of that that I don't think you get from a lot of other bachelors that I found really useful.
Great, thank you, Tamara. And I'd just like to encourage people to keep asking questions because this session is absolutely for you. So please do submit questions through the Q&A. And so what about you, Ed, in terms of what did you learn that's helped you in your career so far?
I think it's a very similar flavour to what was said, but I'd probably phrase it as the most important thing I got out of it was the attitude, or get the right attitude going into industry. And not one where you think you know it all, but one where you're sort of ready to learn it all. Because the ANU degree, the breadth of it sort of, like has been said, gives you a broader perspective. And often when you sort of head off into your first industry role, you find that a lot of things that you learned at uni may or may not be directly applicable, and you need to sort of put on new hats very quickly and start learning. And the ANU degree, I think, sets you up well for that. In contrast to, for example, some of a lot deeper degrees that focus, on pigeonholing, as Don said.
And Bri, you haven't actually graduated yet, so we'll maybe modify the question a little bit for you and say, what have you learned in your degree that's helped in your extracurricular activities?
Yeah, so I haven't graduated as of yet, but what I would say is that like the particular structure of the degree allows you to have a little bit of a taste and understanding, giving you kind of those core things in a variety of different engineering fields. And from that, it's like given me a whole bunch of opportunities in internships as well as extracurricular things in that I'm confident to step into different roles. Even though like my major is biomedical, I've done software internships. I'm now a water research fellow. I do plastics recycling initiative projects, which is more materials manufacturing kind of stuff. So I think definitely the variety of the degree, as well as that sort of systems thinking, echoing what the other guys have been saying, are really like transposable skills to a lot of different settings. I found that really useful in extracurricular things, as well as like internships and fellowships and research projects.
Great, thank you. And we have another question here that's been submitted. So I'd like to open this to the panel. So if whoever wants can have a go at this one. It says, what are the job opportunities for students studying mechanical, automotive or computer engineering?
I mean, I can only really talk about Thales because that's the only place that I have ever worked since I graduated. But definitely, people that have studied mechanical or automotive, we actually manufacture Bushmaster protected mobility vehicles down in Bendigo that would need mechanical and automotive type work. Engineers, and like all of that design work for those protected vehicles is done in Australia and manufactured in Australia. So there is opportunities there. And then as far as computing goes, I mean, there's so many different areas that you can apply computing, computer systems engineering in the defence industry, not just at Thales. I'm sure Ed probably has some more thoughts on that one. But for us, we've got air traffic management systems. There's sonar systems, which is where I work. There's a lot of the human-machine interface and the sonar processing side of things that can happen. There's secure information systems. For like ticketing systems like Opal that we do. We didn't do Opal, but similar one in Auckland. And yeah, so that there's so many different opportunities of design work that does happen in Australia for those types of degrees.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, Tamara. Does anyone else in the panel like to add to that?
And I think those disciplines, mechanical, automotive and computing, I mean, they'll all be found in mining, in construction, in medtech, maybe not automotive so much, but yeah, all of those disciplines will be found within other disciplines as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. So that the disciplines, the way they're sort of listed in an engineering degree program, is not necessarily the industries that they end up being used in. It can be a lot broader than that in the terms of the end industries. Yep. Anyone else like to add to that? Oh, okay, great. So we'll move on to the next question. So can you tell us about an interesting project that you have worked on? Don, yep.
All right, I'll go. I'll keep going first. I'm not sure. I've done quite a few interesting things. The one that comes to mind, I was working for the Ebola project in West Africa in 2015. We were coming to the end of that. The Ebola cases were starting to drop down in the project I was working on. So after lots and lots of effort going into creating the hospitals and treatment centres for Ebola, we then had to pull them down, and that decommissioning, we called it a staged decommissioning of a biosecure environment, was an extremely challenging thing. I remember I used to sit down every night with the head doctor, and it was myself, and we would work out what we could do the next day that met all the, a number of complicated constraints regarding biosecurity, transport populations, all sorts of things. And over the period of a month, we were able to slowly disassemble this highly toxic Ebola hospital.
Mm. Yeah, thanks. It's really interesting, and I guess it illustrates a common issue in engineering projects. You've got a very complicated sort of situation, and you've got a lot of constraints often that you're working on, and you've got to move forward in that situation. So what about you, Tamara?
One of the first ones that comes to mind from my time while I was at ANU was actually my thesis project. So I was able to get a 6-month internship with the ABB in Switzerland while I was at ANU. So Paul Compston, who's I believe still a lecturer there, arranged for a 6-month internship for me. So I actually got to go to Switzerland. I did a whole semester of my course there, and while I was there, I pretty much was doing research and development, and that research and development project, which was room temperature vulcanizing coatings for outdoor insulators, was basically what I ended up writing my thesis on. And yeah, it was such a great experience to be able to do that while I was still at uni. As far as outside of uni, I've done a lot of what I think are interesting projects, but I guess one of the projects that I worked on while I was an acoustic engineer was that I took an old sonar system that was obsolete. We couldn't manufacture the piezo ceramics that are used in that system anymore, and we still needed to support it. So I kind of took the design and redeveloped it for manufacture in Australia. And as part of that, I had to create all of the mechanical drawings, all of the assembly information, process instructions, build it, and then had to qualify it and test it. So I got to take that system or that sonar and put it through environmental testing, shock testing, vibration testing to make sure that it could withstand the operational environment on a submarine. And I learned a lot from that. It was a really interesting project.
Wow, sounds really great. And it shows you, I guess, the how you need to be able to understand a bunch of areas of engineering, sometimes only in one project there.
Yep, definitely.
So again, I'd like to encourage people to submit a question if they'd like to. Yeah, we're very happy and willing to answer your questions. So now I'll pass on to Ed. Can you tell us about an interesting project you've worked on?
I think all of the projects I've worked on so far at work at BAE have been pretty interesting. So I went through the graduate program, which has 4 rotations of 6 months each. My first rotation was around a missile decoy system. The second was completely left field. It was outside of engineering, doing mergers and acquisitions. The company was buying another large company, and I got thrown onto that to help accountants and lawyers and so on. And that was a pretty eye-opening experience to what exists outside of engineering. And then since then, I've sort of worked on a range of R&D projects as well. So I enjoy, and that ties in well with what I studied at ANU, which was the research and development degree. And I think there was 3 different research projects that we did. Most of mine were in materials, but I haven't touched materials for 2 years now. So the research methodologies still apply, but the actual content maybe not.
Yeah, and I guess this is a common thing from talking to graduates kind of over a few years now. I often find that they talk about how engineering has taught them to think, and it's not necessarily the specific discipline that they're using, but it's more about the methodology that they're using. Great. And what about you, Bri? What's something interesting that you've worked on?
I've had a couple of different projects through my internships and extracurriculars, which have been pretty interesting. I got to do a lot of work with non-government organisations with my internship through Engineers Without Borders at the end of last year. So I was looking at, as Ed was saying, a bit more non-engineering kind of things, looking at like partnership agreements and project proposals. I guess that's still kind of, and a bit more of the behind the scenes kind of projects, which was interesting, as well as supporting research into the projects. One of a fun project that I'm still part of was the assisting in recycling initiatives within the ACT through Lids for Kids, which was a project that we started through the Clinton Global University Initiative, which was it's a globally advertised program, and ANU assisted us through that application process, and that kind of like coached us into how to develop your project, how to launch it, everything from like the technical kind of things through to social media and like looking for funding and stuff like that. So that's definitely been one of the most interesting projects that I've been a part of. I also with Engineering for Change, being a part of their innovation challenges shows. So globally, a whole bunch of people try and create technology and stuff to meet global challenges, such as like access to water, food and like sanitation, stuff like that, all come and present at the show. We helped to judge that, as well as further research the technology for feasibility for implementation. So that was really exciting.
Great, thanks, Bri. And that's like gets a good example of the opportunities for extracurricular activities that are available at ANU, and all of those things give you an extra opportunity to explore different areas of interest and to develop your skills in a really wide range of areas. Okay, so I'll move on to the question now of what do you think engineering employers are looking for in their future employees?
I think they want a nice suite of technical engineering training, but I think they also want what we call soft skills. They want people who can communicate well. They want people who are flexible and adaptable. On time, all of those things that we call the soft skills can really make a workplace really function well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks, Zonan. That's certainly something that we emphasize through the core engineering courses. Yeah, not only your technical skills, but also your professional skills in working with other people and getting projects done. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I agree that soft skills are definitely important and can be really key to being successful in your job. But I think also being able to translate what you've learned at university, not just the technical component, but how you've learned and how quickly you can pick up new skills. Because a lot of the skills that you'll learn in order to do your job, you'll pick up on the job rather than just the really specific theoretical stuff that you learn at university. So I mean, my friends and I used to always talk about, you just go to uni to learn how to learn, and then it also puts you in the right mindset for thinking about engineering problems and doing that type of problem solving. But then when you get into a job, being able to learn and pick things up quickly, I think is also really key.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll be learning how to approach problems, but yeah, the problems you are dealing with in your workplace are going to be different from the ones that you have been dealing with in your engineering program.
Yeah, definitely. I think also one of the big things that I noticed, I still remember, is that at university there's always a solution to a problem. You know, you're doing an assignment, you know that there's going to be a specific outcome you're going to get graded on. When you get into a job, there's not always an easy answer that you can look up on Google. You have to often, you know, try to find out the solution for yourself, and that can be quite confronting and something to consider.
Yep, that's right. And that can involve either working out something yourself. It can be working out how you would work it out. It can be that you have to talk to a bunch of people and put together information from lots of sources. So there's many different things you have to be able to do that kind of thing. Ed or Bree, do you want to add anything to that?
I think probably one of the biggest ones is just being passionate and enthusiastic about what you're interested in, and hopefully what you're interested in aligns with where you want to work. I think you can show passion in a lot of ways, but a really good way throughout your degree is just to do projects on the side, whether you're, you know, if you're interested in automotive, building a small car on the side, or if you're interested in programming, getting your GitHub repo up and running, or just showing that you're passionate and building up a portfolio of sort of demonstrating your understanding, because I guess to differentiate yourself, you have to do something, because everyone that graduates with you graduates from the same theory, same content, and what sort of puts people ahead of others is how passionate they are and what they've done about their passion. Yeah,
so I agree. The idea of following projects that interest you, through doing that through clubs or student organisations or other ways is a great thing to do throughout your degree program. Okay, so we have a few questions that have been submitted here. So there's one here which is about job opportunities for computer science graduates after finishing computer science at ANU, and is there a good chance for international students? So I would say for this, I mean, this particular webinar is focused on engineering, but there are a lot of opportunities in computer science at the moment, in data analysis, machine learning, very many types of opportunities at the moment. So data analytics, all of these things. So I would say in computer science, certainly there are plenty of job opportunities at the moment. And the next question is, what kind of research is going along in renewable engineering? So at ANU, we do research into solar photovoltaics. solar thermal, and also grid integration of renewables, including battery integration. We have research into hydrogen generation and hydrogen storage, so a whole range of different areas in renewable energy. Okay, and I will, and there's another couple of questions which are almost the same, so we'll I'll put those together, which is about what are your extracurricular experiences at ANU like? So maybe if we can put this to the panel, if you can talk about your extracurricular experiences.
Well, I think I think ANU, it's a big university. It's got everything you could want, whatever your thing is. Sports, social, clubs, societies, they're all going to be there. You name it, there'll be a society and a group or a bunch of people that share your interests.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure there's a chocolate appreciation society too. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably changed a bit since I've been there, but when I was there, I was heavily involved in the basketball club, which was fun. We got to go to uni games. I also was involved in the engineering society, or I can't even remember what it's called now, that would organise sort of barbecues every so often that would be sponsored by different companies, or we would have, do we still do engineering balls? They were always fun. And yeah, so that, I mean, there's lots of extracurricular things, and like Don said, the campus is so large, there's so many opportunities for hanging out with people. I still miss being able to take a couple hours for a coffee break in the middle of the day, just because at any one of the good cafes around ANU, or hanging out at the bar after classes, and especially after exams. So yeah, there's lots of extracurricular options.
Yeah, generally it's a very social program, and there's lots of opportunities to do things with other people. Yeah, anything extra you'd like to add to those?
I think there is a pretty wide range of extracurricular activities, from solar car to rocketry to EWB and RoboGals and so on. But if something doesn't exist, as long as you're persistent and have a couple of mates with you, you could probably make it exist. So.
Yeah, that's actually true. We're definitely encourage students to start new activities at ANU if that's something they want to do.
Yeah, we're actually, just to add to that, we're in the process of trying to start up 2 new societies, specifically one that's more water focused, as we do have like environmental societies and stuff, but not particularly one that's water focused on sort of like water conservation and advocacy, as well as a recycling initiative one for the partner with our plastics initiative that we started. So yeah, there's heaps of other opportunities, but also like pretty much every course has at least one society. Like there's chem, biophysics, astrophysics, and then all the other little ones in between. So there's lots of ways to connect with peers socially and for like academic assistance, as we do have like the engineering networking nights and stuff like that, which are have been really helpful and useful in kind of seeing different career paths and opportunities out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so definitely, clearly lots of different things that you have a choice to get involved in. Okay, we have another question submitted, which I'll open to the panel. Should all engineering students be given artificial intelligence to study to get students ready for modern technology? Should all the engineering students study artificial intelligence?
I'll have a go. We shared a lot of what we call computer science back then. We shared a lot of common ground. It wasn't a major for me. I concentrated on materials and manufacturing type units, but the grounding that I did get in computer science has been fantastic. I've never known when I've had to do a little bit of coding has come up. And it's just always been a great skill to have that bit of computer science. If we're now calling that artificial intelligence, that then of course having that in your back pocket as a tool is great.
Mm-hmm. Any of the other panelists like to add to that?
I think having a good understanding of some of the basic concepts of computing, like Don said, is a good idea. But if you imagine that everyone at ANU engineering comes out with an understanding of artificial intelligence, then you're probably asking, what don't they have an understanding of, and what did they sacrifice? There's a lot of careers and opportunities out there that don't involve AI, and there's a lot that do. So it's personal preference whether you want to dive into that realm or not, and it is a big realm.
Yeah, that's right. So engineering is very broad, and AI can be part of a direction in engineering, but there are a lot of other possible directions as well. In terms of the ANU engineering program, so there is some compulsory computing as part of the degree program, and you also have electives in the program if you want to take that further and do more computing courses. But if you really have a strong interest in computing, then you could look at either doing software engineering, or you could do a double degree in engineering and computer science. So there's some of the options that would be available to you. Okay, so we're getting in towards the end of the session. So if you do have other questions to ask, please submit them through the Q&A button. Okay. But apart from the submitted questions, I will ask my last question now. And so I'd like to ask each of you what advice you have for students who are starting their engineering degree at ANU.
I'd just like to say, enjoy it. Sometimes students just sort of lurch from assessment to assessment to assessment, but when you can, to really take the time to enjoy what it is you're learning, you're going to learn some extremely complex and cool things, and you might never get the chance to really get your mind into those things ever again. So just to really enjoy that learning process.
Great, thank you, Don.
Yeah, I think that's some of the best advice that you could really have, is to definitely just enjoy yourself, make sure that you make time to have fun, and also, I guess, trying to be open to trying all of those different types of disciplines. Even if you have your heart set on doing a specific type of engineering, be it artificial intelligence or mechatronics, try to be open to other types of engineering, because unless you try them, you might actually find something that you like or enjoy or are passionate about even more.
Yep, thanks very much, Tamara. Ed or Bri?
I think just do what you think is cool or awesome. And if you haven't found it yet, then just keep looking and try out different disciplines, like Tamara said, until you find something that sets your soul on fire.
Mm-hmm. And Bri?
Sorry. Yeah, just to echo the other guys, I think definitely, I've definitely extended my degree out much longer than what it's supposed to be. But taking your time to go and explore different things and really get involved with campus and seeing what there is to offer. So yeah, as what Tamara was saying as well, go explore the other things, because you don't know if you'll actually, you might find something that you like most. Like, I've done a biomedical major, but I'm going to pursue a degree after this one in water, because through my extracurricular activities and whatnot, I discovered that's like where my passions lie, and through the extracurriculums that they offer, I was able to find pathways into that, which is really great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely emphasize the importance of extracurricular activities for giving you the opportunity to explore your interests, and also and giving you more opportunities, often employment opportunities later on. Okay, so we have a couple of questions here, which are really for me to answer in terms of what are the engineering degree programs on offer at the Australian National University. So we have a systems engineering degree, and within that we have majors in a range of areas. So we have biomedical engineering, we have mechanical and materials engineering, mechatronics, electronic and electrical, renewable energy systems, and also environmental engineering. So each of these you do a common core of subjects, and then later you choose one of those majors in the last 2 years of the program. And separately, there's also a software engineering degree. Okay, so and we have a question here, which I think I'll open to the panel, which is what suggestions do you have for international students studying at ANU? So for people who are new to Australia and doing their degree in Australia, what suggestions would you have?
I can't speak too much, but I do know that there are quite strong communities of international students that form very quickly, and you know it almost becomes a very tight-knit friend circle that they sort of do assignments together, they hang out together, and the advice would be to find yourself a friends group, because they're probably going through the same struggles that you are, and you'll probably get through it a bit better with some people around.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you, Ed. Any the other panelists like to add to that?
I think it's similar to any student first coming to ANU. It's a new experience. You're having to meet a whole lot of new people. So it's similar to the previous advice about trying to immerse yourself and make sure that you have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep, great. Thanks very much. Okay, there's another couple of opportunities which I need, a couple of questions I need to answer. So one is the difference between software engineering and computer science. So software engineering is more focused on the applications, so developing software, whereas computer science is more focused on the general theory of computer science, so looking at the broader fundamentals side. So if you want to know the difference in detail, please have a look at the ANU programs and courses website, and that will be able to you'll be able to see the differences between the two degree programs. And there's a question here also about the opportunities for internships and work experience while pursuing the degree. So I'd just like to open that up to Bri and Ed especially. So about internships and work experience during the degree program.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so the engineering degree does have like a compulsory hours that you have to complete to gain your program certificate. And so generally these can be sought out at like the networking events and stuff. It's really easy to try and, not really easy. It's a good opportunity to see what's out there, to go and seek out internships within some of our partners and stuff, which is really great. Also, like highly recommend befriending your professors and stuff, as they generally can show you some really, or hook you up with some really interesting internships. But also again, my favorite internships and work experiences have come through my extracurriculars with Engineers Without Borders. So like through that, it's been research, technology development. We recently worked on creating a a little motorcycle to assist with diversely abled agriculture communities in Cambodia. Also like in water, in looking at creating household water treatment solutions. So but then I've also done internships in software development for looking at satellite mapping of regions within Australia. So there's a lot of variety. It's really up to you though to try and, there's so much out there, it's really up to you to try and figure out what exactly you want to do and grab the opportunities out there. And yeah, I think Ed probably has some other cool stuff to add about that.
I think exactly what Bree said. There's probably three styles of internships or work experiences that I can think of. One is pairing up with a researcher and working with them if you find that their research interests you. The other is, I actually think there's a jumbo list of like 300 different internships around the country and when the due dates are and stuff like that, that's always floating around. So if you want to apply for any sort of structured internships at companies, that's an option. And the third one, and probably the most interesting one, is just calling companies that you find interesting. For example, I think I've established that I like planes. I called up QantasLink here in Canberra and said, can I come in? And they were kind of confused and they said, okay. And then that turned into something. So if you're interested in a company in technology, just call them and ask if they don't have a structured program. And if they do, apply. If you don't get it, apply again.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. That's great advice. It's important to be proactive because it might open up opportunities to you that you never would have had otherwise. Okay, another question here, which I'll open to the panel, is what's the best thing about engineering at ANU that sets it apart from other universities?
I think for me, it was like what I mentioned at the start, in that you don't have to choose what your major is from the outset. And also having that systems engineering focus. I kind of alluded to how important that's been in my degree, and how a lot of the other engineers I've worked with from other universities were actually quite surprised at my knowledge of the systems engineering lifecycle school that I was able to learn in an undergraduate degree that other engineering degrees don't have.
Mm-hmm. Right, so definitely that focus on systems and breadth. Yep.
I think ANU's got a fantastic reputation globally for other things beyond engineering, population studies, economics, public health, and where they cross over with engineering. ANU has an absolute world-class reputation in many of those fields where postgraduate research is going on.
Right, so it can be the opportunities beyond engineering, or combining engineering with other areas as well. Yep.
I think one that comes as a factor of geography is Canberra's a relatively small place, and some of the other universities mentioned in the capital cities of the different states, their engineering cohorts are massive. So some between 500 to 1,000. Personally, for me, I could almost name everyone that went through my engineering degree, and if not, I'll at least recognize a face. And that builds up a really close, tight-knit community. And I still keep in touch with a lot of them. And I guess that's a big differentiator for me, as opposed to going through a degree which has, 1,000 graduates and you interact with some every few assignments or so. So yeah, I think the culture at ANU is top notch, apart from, the quality of research and the people around. It's a really, really good culture.
Yeah, and certainly at ANU we do have smaller class sizes than a lot of places, and that gets the opportunity for you to have more attention from your lecturers, and just easier to navigate and easier to connect with other students. Okay, so we have another question that I'll answer here about postgraduate degrees on offer. So engineering postgraduate degrees. So the postgraduate degrees that we're offering at the moment are a Master of Engineering in Digital Systems and Communications, of Electrical Engineering, of Mechatronics, Photonics, Renewable Energy, and Master of Machine Learning and Computer Vision. So there's a range of different engineering related master's programs. If you look on ANU programs and courses, you'll be able to see there. And the advantage of those particular programs is that they're really building on areas of research strength within ANU. So you have people who are top researchers in each of those areas who will be teaching you if you do those programs. Okay, and there's also questions about if students go to ANU, will they then be accepted at top universities elsewhere? And yes, we certainly have examples of that. If you do well in your degree program at ANU, that will open doors for you anywhere around the world, absolutely. There's a question also about the situation for international students at the moment. It's certainly very difficult with international students at the moment. The way things are being done at the moment is that learning is remote learning for international students at the moment. And actually a lot of our learning overall is remote learning at the moment. So we only have some small labs and things that are being done in person. So if you are starting your degree program through remote learning, you won't be disadvantaged because most of the students are in the same situation at the moment. All the lectures are online and recorded, for example. And then we hope, of course, that the situation improves over coming months and that we can welcome you to ANU as soon as possible. But of course, that will depend on what happens. Okay. And another question here of why should you come to ANU instead of going overseas, for example, or if you're an international student, going to some of the universities overseas. The panelists want to add something to that question? Okay, so I guess I would say the main advantage that ANU, of course, has a global reputation, and then we have this broad degree program that gives you the opportunity to study a range of areas within one degree program, and then to specialise in a particular area, in areas in which ANU also has global research strength. Those are some of the reasons why you might want to come to ANU. Okay, so that I think covers the questions that have been answered here, and we're almost at time as well. So we'll just like to ask the panelists if they have any parting words for future students who may come to ANU next year.
For me, I loved my time at ANU. I had it was stressful at times doing all of the coursework, and I think towards the end I kind of cut down to only doing 3 courses instead of 4 a semester, just to kind of relax and spread it out. But I just loved my time there. I made such close friends that I'm still friends with. There were friends that have similar interests to me, it's different types of friends than you can get at high school. So it's like I just loved university. Work feels so much more stressful after leaving university. So just enjoy it while you can.
Thanks, Tamara.
I think ANU is a great place. Don't want to criticise anywhere else, but some of these other unis, big factories, feel a bit like concrete jungles. And I think just ANU's got a really, really pleasant atmosphere. It's a great place to learn.
I think it has a great community, and there's if you're just starting out, it's really important to try and get involved, and as it was saying, make your friendship groups, and really enjoy your time.
I think ANU's quality enough that it can compete with any other university across the planet, but also small enough so that you get a meaningful experience as an individual, whether that's friends, culture, or your degree, or what you want to do. It's a really good balance.
Okay, so that's the end of the session then. Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you very much to the panelists for all your insights today. It's really useful for people who are trying to figure out what their next direction is and where they go. So thank you very much, everyone.